Yeah, you're tuned into the Andrew Gosser Show right here on 1039 WYAB. We are moving and grooving on this Wednesday. It's a great day. And look, we're streaming on Rumble. We're streaming on X. We're streaming on YouTube. We are streaming at the mothership that is WYAB.com. So if you can't pick up our radio signal, which is a 50,000 watt blowtorch, then you can clearly pick us up on one of our streams. Like, share, and subscribe if you wouldn't mind. You're going to want to follow me on X. We're going to be posting the receipts on X for everything that we've talked about today. I appreciate that. It's just at Andrew Gosser, AndrewGasser. Yep. And if you want to be part of the show today, there's all sorts of good stuff to talk about. The number is 601. Text line is open 601 879 5060. And no matter what, the mission at the Andrew Gosser Show is standard. We are here to equip the saints. Who are the saints? Y'all are the saints. And look, America, with great power comes great responsibility. And we are under a state of delusion in America. And this is all coming from biblical scripture. It says it is going to send delusion. And I've purposely set up a new news feed in a different type of browser, the new version of Internet Explorer. I don't even know what it's called, but I put up a liberal news feed, and then I compare it to my news feed because I want to honestly try to understand both sides of the situation, whether it be tariffs, whether it be Cuba, Venezuela, Joe Kent, Israel, immigration. And it is absolutely startling to me. I am even more convinced of Operation Mockingbird. We've got specific examples that I want to talk about. And it's amazing to me how people who I know are really good friends, who've been good friends for as long as I've been in Mississippi, are suddenly not talking to each other anymore all over Israel. And the crazy thing is both of them go to church on Sunday. And we are under such a spirit of delusion where we can't even think straight. We are getting bombarded. Our brains are being bombarded, whether that be visually through video media, news media, the red word, podcasts. And I want to make sense of it all. And for me, I always look for the pattern. I'm always trying to see the bigger picture. Okay, I understand that this person wants to get this accomplished. What does that do in the future? What does that allow? What's the future move? And people are playing checkers when 5D chess is being played, and we're not paying attention to what's going on. And I guess the best place to start is with the Joe Kent situation. I know it's a day old, and yesterday I gave a breakdown of Joe Kent, and I was very respectful of his military service. His deceased wife, who was a Navy intelligence officer, enlisted troop, but they call her officer in combat in Syria, very respectful. And he said he resigned. And I said, there's got to be something more to this. And lo and behold, there is. There's all sorts of stuff. For instance, his new wife, his new wife named Heather. God bless her. First of all, when his first wife Shannon passed away, Miss Heather came in and started helping homeschool and take care of all the different things. She works for a outlet called the Gray Zone. And who runs the Gray Zone? Max Blumenthal, enormous anti-Trumper. You go back and you look at what his new wife has done. She's got a distinguished military career, very left-leaning, and you juxtapose this on what Joe used to think when he was married to his first wife. And look, fellas, we can say this all we want. This isn't even controversial. This is just the truth. Our women have incredible sway upon us. My big fat Greek wedding. The man is the head, but I am the neck, and I can make the neck turn any which way I want. It's true. It's true. It's really true. And what's caused this shift? There's more information where I had Grok go back and analyze Joe Kent's tweets from 2018 to 2026. And there was a significant shift after he got married. Now, I'm not saying that he's a bad guy or that he was once one way and now is a new way. I'm just saying that he's changed. His views have changed. It also has come out now and said that he was removed from certain briefings inside the White House, inside ODNI, because he was accused of leaking. They thought that he was leaking. There are some places out there that are saying that Joe was leaking to Tucker. I don't know how we can prove that, other than to say that people seem to think that specific information was leaked to Mr. Kent and mysteriously found out by Tucker Carlson. Which leads me to a point in and of itself as a military man, as someone who had a clearance and understands the importance of the oath of office. It doesn't matter what I'm told or what is said to me. If I am told information that is considered classified, never mind the level, unless you are cleared for that information and you have a need to know that information, you shouldn't be spreading that information. And if you think about the precepts of Operation Mockingbird and how it's out there to get information out there to start rumor, innuendo, gossip. We talked about it yesterday. Get the rumor mill going. That is what drives clicks. That's what drives human emotion. That's what drives instability inside America. Mostly peaceful protests with burning buildings in the background. That's all this Joe Kent story is. I genuinely can respect the fact that he resigned. Some people said he was gonna get fired, and they just allowed him to resign. All of us military men and women, how many times have we've seen that happen? Commander gets busted for doing something, and he's allowed to retire. He's allowed to resign and move on to something with a lot less responsibility for '05, '06. And it that part of the Joe Kent story really got to me as a military guy. I'm 54 and or actually 53, and I still can remember going through security clearance training, briefings, understanding the different th levels of classification, going through the need to know. Man, I was in VF 102, which is one of the biggest spy scandal stories ever in the history of the Navy. It happened about 3 years before I got there, but my gosh, what a mess. Drilled into me. And I was an avionics technician on a F-14, and man, I was punching modes and codes. Enormous responsibility as an 18-year-old, 19-year-old, my gosh. And so to have someone at Mr. Kent's level not being able to keep his mouth shut, let alone a bunch of other lieutenant colonels, majors at the Pentagon, generals. The leaks to the media do nobody any good except the enemy. It pushes public persuasion. It convinces us of an alternate reality, which may or may not be true. And so I try to put it into context with something like World War II. Could you imagine if Nazi Germany would have had a media apparatus like the World Wide Web, where just everything was flowing? Again, with great power comes great responsibility. I'm not trying to censor free speech, but I'm trying to make sure that the people who are put in positions of power, one, aren't linked, and two, putting out information that is truthful and accurate. For instance, there is an Iranian drone attack, and it just gets wall to wall coverage on all the different stations. You think that it's Pearl Harbor all over again in Dubai. Never mind, drone attacks are down 91%. They don't have that many drones left. Missile attacks are down 92%. They don't have the ability to make new ones. We've absolutely obliterated their ability to make more. The only thing that the Iranian regime can make it now are memes and false statements, and use American technology that we built and developed to spread a message of lies and deceit. And then we've got the blue pillars, the red pillars, and the black pillars. And they're all going after each other. Meanwhile, the immigrants are coming in up the rear and giving us all one from behind. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
been a lot
that's been going on with Iran. A lot of Americans paying attention to that. We have had, members of the military killed. There is this big gas price spike.
Yep.
What are Americans?
Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show on 1039 WYAB. I think we need to send a bunch of people to SEER school and they learning how to create propaganda and how to be used as a propaganda tool. And one of the biggest propaganda tools we have is the mainstream media. And this is not a good news site, but it is a news site that's out there. And you can say that their ratings are dwindling and everything's going to pot. But they still have the backing of the pharmaceutical companies, the military industrial complex, and the political left. And let's listen to what Mr. Harry Enton has to say. And I'm going to play the lead into this. It's an extra 30 seconds. But again, you are what you can consume. You are what you consume, right? You are allowing this into your body and into your brain. And it's going to affect the way you think unless you actually go out and get a well-rounded perspective of what the heck's going on. And this is just beyond me.
How is the war landing with Americans? Are people paying close attention? Is the war helping or hurting the president politically? What are you seeing? CNN's chief data analyst Harry Enton here with us to give us the details. There is a lot that's been going on with Iran. A lot of Americans paying attention to that. We have had, members of the military killed. There is this big gas price spike.
Yep.
What are Americans thinking about this?
Yep.
25 seconds of propaganda going in there and setting the stage, making you think that we're just being absolutely having our butts kicked, that we're losing the war. Gas prices are spiking, not explaining why they're spiking. We've explained it on this show why it's spiking. And there you go. Everybody who's not people in this audience, but a lot of our friends and family who don't devote time to actually being current on politics and current events, they fall for stuff like this. Now let's watch this because the numbers are actually kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, there's been a lot that's been going on over the past few weeks. But so far, there's kind of been a little bit of a collective shrug from the American public. What am I talking about here? Well, let's just take a look here. Americans who say they care a lot about the Iranian situation. Look at this. It's just 45%. Just
45%. There's a phone call coming in, and I always try to take our phone calls, so bring them up. Hey, go ahead. You're on the air.
Good morning, my brother. How are you?
Brother Richard, I'm all right, my friend. I'm all right.
I've got two true-false questions for you.
Okay.
Iran has never done anything to the United States. True or false?
False.
Israel is directing Trump and the military action. True or false?
False.
According to Mike Madison, both of those questions are true.
Yep.
You talk about propaganda. And this guy is your, you got MSNBC. I might have to come up with something for him. The Mike Madison Propaganda Network, because dude never takes a phone call, never takes a counter opinion, never has a conversation like you and I do. So he's just as bad as CNN. Somebody needs to address this propaganda on what?
Brother Richard, Brother Richard, just for the record, he records his show and sends it in. So
correct.
So that's why he won't take the phone call. I see people calling in when I'm sitting here doing my show prep, and I purposely, I like Mike, but I don't listen to his show because I'm too busy trying to make sure I give you all the best show that I can give you too. So,
and I appreciate that, which leads me to my question. And I'm just curious because I'm trying to put two and two together.
All right.
If we have decimated Iran's ability to conduct war, why do they still have a chokehold on the strait?
Because it only takes one, the golden BB. I can explain that's really easy. I'm flying in my F-15, zooming around, hostile airspace, and we have air supremacy. But there's somebody out there with the surface-to-air shoulder-mounted heat-seeking missile, and they get lucky and they pop me. That's why. The other part of it, and
Okay.
that's one answer. The other answer is that, and this is going to be kind of a long-winded, so just give me an extra 30 seconds. The gas price,
Sure.
and this is where I was going with the video. The gas prices in all around the world are like skyrocketing right now. Even though the United States isn't getting a drop of oil from the Middle East, the corporations, the gas companies are milking the American dry from oil. We have all the oil that is indigenously produced right here in either in the United States or Canada or in the Gulf of Mexico, and we're also getting all of Venezuela's oil now. We're not having any oil shortage. There should be no gas price increase at all. We're getting milked. The people who are really getting screwed in this deal, number one, China. We are completely decapitating China's ability to go ahead and wage economic warfare upon the United States, let alone real warfare. They just don't have the gas to put into their boats, their tanks, their planes, and that's what's going on. But then it's also hurting Europe and NATO because a lot of their gas comes from the Middle East, and they're not helping. They're not sending their anti-minesweepers. I give NATO a lot of hot garbage for their ability to do a lot of things militarily, but the one things that the British can do really good is minesweep. Like, they are really good at it, and they've said that they're not gonna help clear the straits. In the United States and Israel, and by the way, if you think about it, the world is on its head because right now you've got the Western world saying United States bad, and everybody in the Middle East, except for Iran, saying United States good. Make it make sense. Did that kind of answer your question a little bit?
It does. It does. And then it also brings to mind another key phrase that was used repeatedly during the presidential campaign was, oh my goodness, the reason your groceries are so high is because of price gouging.
Yep.
Well, that's exactly what the oil companies are doing is price gouging.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And the thing is if it'd be one thing if we were getting a significant statistical amount of oil from the Middle East. And Chris Hinkle, I see you calling in there, man, but that's my cell phone. I can't take that. But the whole thing is that that's not. And our refineries are moving and grooving. Now, do we need new refineries? Absolutely. Mississippi should be sitting there figuring out how we can get one of those new refineries. And that'd be a great job for the state in income for the state of Mississippi. But, just getting back to the video and then your question on the price gouging, it all forms a narrative. And we are being spun up and worked up. Good friends, Richard, I'm telling you, really good friends of mine. I've known them since day one in Mississippi. We've hung out together. We've gone to lunch together, spent time together. They're not talking anymore because one's blue pilled and one's black pilled. And they're just, and I'm like, it's destroying America from the inside out. It's like what Nikita Khrushchev said in the Soviet Union. The United States
Right.
will fall without a shot ever being fired. The Americans will eat themselves, and that's what's happening.
Well, I'm going to quote, and I think you were talking about one of the first Continental Congresses when Benjamin Franklin brought up the fact that we've gotten so big for our britches, we can't stop long enough to pause and pray for the supreme power that put us where we are as a country, and we don't need to lose sight of that.
Facts.
So have a good one, brother. Thank you for the information.
Hey, I'm trying, my man. Brother Richard, you're the best. I really appreciate you calling in. I try to take all the calls, even if I'm in the middle of a segment. Sometimes I don't get to it. Sometimes I do. But we were talking about the U.S. economy or in the Iranian situation. 45% of Americans think that the Iranian situation is a very serious issue right now.
5% of Americans say they care a lot about the situation going on in Iran. Compare that to the U.S. economy, which, of course, is the number one issue right now in this country. We're talking 84%. That is a very, very high number. And this 45% number, only about half that and below below 50%. So despite all the hubbub, right now we're talking about less than a majority of Americans who say they care a lot about what's going on in Iran right now.
But the war in Iran does affect the U.S. economy.
That's going to be the question going forward.
Yes. So going forward, we'll have to see what happens with the war and how it affects gas prices, et cetera, et cetera. So is interest starting to rise, or is it kind of just falling off?
Yeah, this to me, again, just such an interesting number, because we have this 45% right here, but
Americans are so focused on themselves and not the global market, the global economy, that's all we care about. Me, myself, and I. No goodwill towards men. You know, we're all for women's rights here in America, but screw the Iranian women's soccer team. Send those girls back to Iran, where their families and them will never be heard from again. I couldn't imagine playing soccer with the hijab on, keeping all that body heat on, being unable to expel that heat, that body heat. I mean, it's not like women don't sweat when they're exercising. We are doing so much good in the Middle East, and we are so focused on things that are distracting. It's like, ooh, look, squirrel, shiny object, snowflake. We've got a lot of snowflakes. I want to finish this Harry Enton thing, and then I want to comment on CNN after that.
take a look at Google searches right now, because it just sort of reinforces that point. Americans, Google searches for Iran. Look at this. Down 84% versus February 28th, when, of course, the current war started in Iran. And if you look back on Sunday, you look back yesterday, searches for the Academy Awards significantly higher. I'm talking about 3-4 times as high.
We're more worried about the woke Academy Awards than we are what's going on in the Middle East. And we're supposed to be taken seriously. I'm supposed to take the left seriously when they're worried about the Academy Awards. Let's take another phone call. Why not? Go ahead. Oh, hey, you're gonna have to call back. Whoa, dude, I'm not sure what happened there. Phone system went wonky. Please call right back. I'll try to extend this segment a little bit. But if you're telling me that the Academy Awards are more important than what's going on in Iran, I think you're lost. I think you're wrong. The Academy Awards has lost viewership for the last 7 years in a row. It was down another 9% this year. Look, I'm already a little bit long. If that caller calls back, we'll get him on the other side. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back. Dude, I just went to commercial. I'm sorry. I had to go.
That's okay. That's okay. I understand that. This is Pastor JB. I just had a comment. I can hold on.
Oh, that's awesome. Pastor JB, how have you been, my friend?
Yeah, I've been great. Doing good.
That's awesome. I've been hanging in there myself.
Okay. Yeah, heard about your Sweet Pea's travels and.
Oh yeah, she went to Ireland, dude. It was so wonderful.
Okay.
And
wow.
Yep, our daughter got to go. I had to stay home. I physically, it was too much for me to do this trip. But we're hoping we might go again next month, and I'll be able to go then.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Okay. And she's on a mission trip too, right?
Oh,
she's on a mission trip.
You know, the Lord is blessing her so much. She's doing another 2 missions trips, both to Honduras. You know, the Lord has really put Honduras. Yeah, but the Lord has really put.
Okay.
And so she's doing that, and you know, I'm just sitting there saying, "Sweet Pea, you just go and we'll worry about how to pay for it later." And the Lord has provided for us on that, you know.
Oh yeah,
He does.
I've got my family, my brother and I don't call her sister-in-law, she's my sister, but they're missionaries too. Well, they live in Madison, but they go to Honduras, Dominican Republic, Haiti. They go all over the place.
That's really incredible. Bernadette has gone to she's gone to Guatemala, Honduras, all over Africa.
Okay.
But I'm gonna go ahead and put you on hold for about a minute, if that's all right, Pastor.
That's fine, brother. That's fine.
Yep. Hang in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Welcome back to the Andrew Gosser Show. We got Pastor JB on the phone. Pastor, you there, my friend?
Yes, I am today. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Listen. Okay. And this woke news media. I wish it could legally be shut down. But anyway, my comment is this: we are the American public has been so dumbed down, and we've just become so gentle that we're really useless. Let me go back. This bullying thing that we're worried about bullying, and our kids have been indoctrinated about anti-bullying. Everything becomes bullying now. Well,
Yep.
when Bill Clinton was in office, I believe there was a guy named Matthew Shepard. Matthew Shepard was a homosexual, and it's not to put down homosexuals, but this is where it came from. Well, he had spent a night or weekend drugging with a couple of other guys, and they were having sex. They decided they want to take his stash, so they killed Andrew Shepard, I believe, and left him along the road by a fence. And so all of a sudden, it was bullying because he was a homosexual. The investigating officer found out the truth, but the superiors went on with the narrative that this was just bullying. But he found the truth, and they silenced him. They would not let him come forward with the truth. And so that's where we are in the bullying. Fast forward. We don't want to offend anybody. And so we don't want to say anything about Islam. And Islam is not the problem, but the radical Muslims are the problem. They've got so many, there's so many, and who a lot of them say they wouldn't do jihad, but they're in favor of it.
Yep.
And when you look at a group that size, and if just 1% is for a commitment, I'm talking about who will actually do it, man, that puts it in the millions. Who want to commit jihad? They're really down for the cause.
Yep.
But the other thing about that is the American public does not know why President Trump, and I'm going to say this, you do a great job, and I mean WYAB, and some of the other media. But you never hear the local media nor the national media talking about Iran's specific threat.
Nope.
And this thing about the Shia and that 12th Imam, that's serious. So as we look for Jesus as our Messiah, they're looking for him. And the only way to get him here is to just create mass chaos. And yes, they will use a nuclear weapon.
They absolutely would, Pastor. And they had 11 kilograms of enriched 60% uranium or yellow cake, which was more than enough to do some serious damage. Maybe not a straight up nuclear bomb, but a serious dirty bomb, which it would contaminate. Right. I mean, one of those went off in Jackson, ladies and gentlemen. You wouldn't be safe in Vicksburg or Hattiesburg or Meridian. So the threat is real. And people, and Pastor, this is just my opinion, but our culture, we're just so focused on us, where before we were focused on our neighbors, do unto others as we want on ourselves. And now it's just, what can I consume? How much can I consume? And do I like it? Does it make me feel good? If it makes me feel good, then
there you go.
If it makes me feel good, then it's good. If it makes me feel uncomfortable, like when a pastor gets going on a heater on a Sunday and starts making everybody shift around in their seats and they're uncomfortable, that's the good one, in my opinion.
That's right. Exactly. Look, I'm enjoying this show, and I'm going to walk. I'll continue to listen to you.
Pastor, I appreciate it. And, it's really great to know that I have men of God and women of God listening to this show who are not afraid to call in and give their opinion. And I know that if I say something that goes off the rails scripturally, Pastor JB going to be there and say, Annie, we need to have a correction. And it's not going to be like on the side. It's going to be live in front of y'all. But I want to continue with, and Pastor's totally right. The bullying is just another element that they use, where all of a sudden it's okay for 6 or 7 homosexuals to surround a straight couple, but if there is a street preacher on the side of the road calling out immorality, well, then that's bad. That's bullying. I don't like that. But let's get back to good old Henry here in CNN because this is going to feed into the next hour, and it's going to be the Save America Act. And I promise you, this is going to work out awesome. But we gotta fully expose the hypocrisy of CNN and the narrative that is being shoved down our throats right now.
As searches for Iran in the United States of America. So at this point, outside of the situation in Iran perhaps affecting the U.S. economy, which of course is the number one issue, is what Americans are focusing on, I'm just not thinking that this is necessarily going to be the big political mover and shaker that you might expect, given that this has kind of been a pretty gosh darn big deal, at least globally speaking.
It certainly has. So
what CNN is saying in code is that, darn it, we're not going to be able to put this one on Trump and get him to tear him down even more. I saw a MS Now BS Always report where they went to a town in Pennsylvania and they interviewed a bunch of people, quote unquote MAGA, and not one of them was against Trump. Now, they did have one lady at the end who started cussing like a sailor and saying she voted for Trump 3 flipping times and F this, F that, and regrets it. But I know MAGA people like that, but I would never see one get on and act like that in public. It's just not how MAGA is. So for people to come on here and say MAGA's dead and MAGA's not a lot like Marjorie Taylor Greene, get out of here. There's a little bit more to this. I really want to get through this because this is going to set us up for the next hour, which is going to be complete fire.
taking a look at what's happened with the president and whether his popularity has changed at all, just judging on this. What are you learning?
Yeah, what are we learning? Which is perhaps it's not so.
President Trump is the best president ever, if you want to say one side, or President Trump is the worst president ever, if that's what you want to say. But what do the numbers really say?
Much of a surprise when just 45% of Americans say they care a lot about the Iranian situation, that the president's overall approval rating is the same. It's the same. It was 41% before the current war in Iran started, and it is 41% now.
You know what that means? That means that President Trump is probably at 46 or 47 with the war bump. And the people who are going to hate Trump are going to hate Trump no matter what. They're like lemmings. They're like zerglings. They're like drones. They're just going out there with their pre-made signs, with their billionaire funding, out there complaining. Meanwhile, working their 9 to 5, or more like 7 to 7, blue collar crew. We're out there busting it, and we understand what's happening. But CNN can't figure this out. I know, I know Harry understands this, but he's got his corporate masters at Pfizer that he's got to answer to.
So despite, again, all the hubbub, despite all the critics of the president of the United States,
despite the largest mass disinformation war ever created in history of humanity via the internet and social media, we still can't get Trump. Damn it.
Seeing right now is a president whose approval rating is steady, and this has not been a big deal politically, electorally speaking. We'll see if that shifts. Obviously, as gas prices climb higher, if all of a sudden prices in up.
All right, that's enough, Harry. We got to click into fear. We got to make sure we get it. We understand it. I've shared that clip on my X account, and I want to make sure that you all have access to that because how I used to get his stuff was one way, and I'm having to find new ways to do that. And as I learned to teach my AI how to do stuff for me, it's just going to be a learning process. But this is important. The Operation Mockingbird thing is important because what they're really going after, and I genuinely believe this, Rick, because we're always asking what's next. I genuinely think they're not even caring about Epstein anymore. If this Save America Act passes, it's really going to change America because the people who pay attention vote. We can get people spun up. We can fire up the college kids and send them on their way, but their attention spans is one election cycle, maybe two. People who actually pay attention are become the hard R's, the hard D's, the super voter, if you will. A little bit of political lingo there. Those are the people who are paying attention to this. And we are the ones who actually create other hard R's, hard D's, and super voters. And by the way, this is just my own personal anecdotal opinion and observation. I'm seeing more Democrats lean to the right than more Republicans lean to the left. That's not to say that there aren't Republicans out there who aren't so ticked off at John Thune and the Republicans in the Senate. But when we get back, and we'll talk about it in the next segment, but in the next hour, you're not going to want to miss it because we can actually vote on the Save America Act without having to get rid of the filibuster, and I'm going to talk about it. You are listening to the Andrew Gosser Show on 103.9 WYAB. We'll be right back.
Maneuver. So yeah, the bill.
Owning a business comes with enough mistakes. Now with Tax Cloud, I know my sales taxes are always right.
This Friday,
It's now or never.
Project Hail Mary is an awe-inspiring masterpiece.
We have one mission. 6 doors and 9